Now, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, also known as ICE, was recently handed a huge defeat after it attempted to deport a dreamer. Now, Slate is reporting that on Tuesday, U.S. District Judge Ricardo S. Martinez shot down the federal government's effort to strip Daniel Ramirez Medina of his DACA status. So he is a DACA recipient, which means he came here, illegally. His parent brought him into the country as an undocumented immigrant, but he was eligible under the Obama administration's DACA program to live and work in the United States. Now, there's some stringent requirements for DACA. You have to obviously not be a criminal, not have a record, not be affiliated with any gangs, have a job, or be in school. So those are the requirements, and they have to check in with the government every so often in order to verify that that all is still true. Now, ICE had arrested and detained Ramirez last year, and then falsely claimed that he was affiliated with a gang so that they could deport him. So again, that's one of the things that you can't do. You obviously can't be involved in violence or criminal activity, which of course, gangs, that's what they do. Now, they tried to strip him of that DACA protections as well. And of course, if you don't have DACA protections, you can't live and work in the United States. So, and since the government knows where you are, where you live, what you do, they can easily come in, they can arrest you and deport you. That's what happened to Ramirez. Well, they tried anyway. They tried to do this to Ramirez. Now, since he ended up filing suit, alleging that ICE had violated his due process rights, went into court, and the judge found that, no, I actually agree with you. They did violate your due process. And in the end, barred the federal government from voiding Ramirez's DACA status. So that actually turned out to be pretty good. Now, the details here are actually incredibly disturbing, and it shows a pattern of what ICE has been trying to regularly do. Target Latinos, claim that they are in gangs, and as an effort to deport them. Now, let me tell you the story here. Now, it starts in February of last year, when ICE agents went to Ramirez's father's house in Seattle to arrest him. Now, Ramirez's father is an undocumented immigrant. So, has he been convicted of any crimes? No, but Donald Trump said, I'm going to come after the Mexicans. I'm going to come after the undocumented immigrants. I'm going to come after the illegals. I'm going to kick them all out. But wait, I thought you were just going to go after the quote-unquote bad hombres. No, he said he was going to be monstrous and go after everyone. So, and that's what he's doing. Don't be surprised when he does exactly what he says he's going to do in the most monstrous ways possible. Now, when they went to arrest Ramirez's father, they encountered Ramirez and asked him whether he was legally here or not. Well, in the case of him, he's a DACA recipient, so he says, no, I am here legally. And by the way, look, I've got my work permit. Now, what happened? Well, they took him they arrested him anyway, right? They brought him to a processing center. Again, throughout the whole thing, he's saying, look, I've got my permit. I got my papers. I'm here legally. I am a DACA recipient. I have renewed with the government. My paperwork should be in order. So allegedly, an agent had replied to it, quote, it doesn't matter. You weren't born here in this country. Therefore, you gotta go. Which, of course, look, DACA says, no, you actually can stay. You may not be a citizen here, but you are protected. You are a dreamer. You're protected from deportation. They don't care. They don't care. He was then interrogated, fingerprinted, and booked, his work permit confiscated, and he was sent to a deportation center to await deportation. Or I'm sorry, sent to a detention center. Now, normally the government cannot just rescind an individual's DACA status without giving the beneficiary an opportunity to contest its decision. In this case, they did not. They immediately took away his DACA status and prepared him for deportation. Now, how can they do this? Well, ICE claimed that his DACA benefits could be terminated because he presented, quote, an egregious public safety concern. Well, that sounds real strange. For one, in order to be a DACA recipient, you can't be a criminal. I said that earlier. Well, nonetheless, ICE claims that he had gang affiliation. Well, where's the evidence? Well, there wasn't any evidence. Turns out ICE routinely alleges Latino immigrants that Latino immigrants with no gang affiliation, no evidence of gang affiliation, are affiliated with gangs anyway. Why? Because they want to deport them. So they do this all the time. Now, again, this is against due process. This is against the rule of law. I thought you believed in the rule of law. I thought President Trump, the Republicans, and ICE were the arbiters of the rule of law. That they stood up for it. No. No, of course they don't. They don't care. Now, of course, Trump and a lot of Republicans will justify it, saying that, no, you don't understand. We're doing the right thing because DACA is unconstitutional. I mean, look at the way that Trump is challenging it. Well, it's still caught up in court. And so far, DACA recipients are safe. Now, of course, Ramirez, not happy about this, decides, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this to court. So he did. And during the court proceeding, one of Ramirez's lawyer, Mark Rosenbaum, presented evidence indicating that ICE had doctored Ramirez's statement by erasing words he had written in the pencil provided to make it seem as if he had confessed to being in a gang. Now, the original statement says that he has no gang affiliation. During his initial interrogation, ICE officers asked him 5 times whether or not he belonged to a gang, and he repeatedly said no. He instead said, look, I had fled California to Washington to escape from the gangs in California. Hey, man, look, I don't want to be in that area, so I'm going to go to Seattle. I'm going to go to Washington where there are no gangs. Well, what did ICE do? Apparently they said, we're just going to erase a couple of words here and say that, no, I actually am part of a gang from California. This is insane. It's an obvious lie, but the only point is to deport somebody who is a Latina. And look, the government would know if you're in a gang. In order to renew DACA status, you would have to undergo background checks, 2 thorough background checks. And Ramirez did. And guess what they found? No evidence of gang affiliation. None. Well, the only thing that ICE had, the only piece of evidence that they continue to go back to and present, is a tattoo on Ramirez's forearm that consisted of a nautical star and the words La Paz, BCS, which represent his birthplace, the city of La Paz in Baja, California. Now, ICE kept pointing to that tattoo and saying, that's a gang tattoo. He's definitely a gang member. But wait a minute, that's ridiculous. For one, no gang members actually had that particular tattoo. And 2 different immigration judges happen to agree with that, as well as gang expert Martin Flores. Now, Flores says, quote, he had never seen a gang member with a similar tattoo, nor would he attribute this tattoo to have any gang-related meaning. There was another gang expert, Edwina Barbosa, who declared that there is no apparent evidence that Ramirez has ever been a gang member or has ever been a gang member himself. Carlos Garcia, a Mexican researcher who has also studied gangs, stated that this tattoo does not show any gang affiliation. ICE agents didn't care. They probably looked at those experts and said, come on, man. I mean, they're all Mexican anyway. You think they're not going to tell me the truth? Come on. Of course they're not going to tell me the truth. They're Mexican. They're protecting your own. It's just the same kind of mentality that Donald Trump had with the lawyer that ruled against him in the Trump case. Or, I'm sorry, in the Trump University case. Oh, well, he's Mexican. Of course he's not going to side with me. Racism, straight up. Now, look, Martinez Judge Martinez is a George W. Bush appointee, by the way. He's not an Obama appointee. He is a George W. Bush appointee. And he wrote this. ICE's conclusory findings have been contradicted by experts and other evidence. The government produced no evidence to contradict multiple experts' testimony discrediting ICE's bizarre interpretation of Ramirez's tattoo. And its claims are completely contradictory to the government's own previous findings after extensive background checks that were meant to uncover evidence of known or suspected gang affiliation. Most troubling to the court is the continued assertion that Mr. Ramirez is gang affiliated, despite providing no evidence specific to Mr. Ramirez to the immigration court in connection with his administrative proceedings, and offering no evidence to this court to support its assertions 4 months later. Not only that, but Martinez concluded that ICE had violated Ramirez's rights by depriving him of his constitutionally protected liberty and property interests without due process of law. The judge also found that ICE had violated federal law by trying to take Ramirez's DACA status in a, quote, arbitrary and capricious manner without any rational explanation for its decision. So that is a judicial smackdown of epic proportions. And look, this also shows how far ICE is willing to go to try to deport somebody that they don't like. Again, he is Latino, and they're trying to find every single excuse, any excuse, to deport as many Latinos as they can, because the Trump administration has empowered them. And so, look, that's why ICE is basically the brown shirts of America now. They're the brown shirts of the Trump administration. They want to go around lying, and using spurious evidence to try to eliminate people who are different in this country, who are still here legally under the DACA program. But again, they don't believe in the DACA program. They don't agree with the DACA program. They think, oh no, it's just Obama amnesty. We got to get rid of these people. These people who have been in the United States for most of their lives, have jobs, careers, education, who pay taxes, who are here working legally. No, this is just, it's pure, flat out racism. It's gross. Now, thank goodness for the courts, right? Throughout this whole thing, the courts on immigration have consistently been a check on Trump. Without them, we'd have a Muslim ban that's unconstitutional. We would have DACA recipients being basically deported from the only home that they know. It would be a disaster for a great many people. So thankfully they're there. Thankfully they're there to be a check on Donald Trump for his wildly racist and horrific, inhumane immigration policies. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.